Hello, my name is Oliver Darcy, and with Campus Reform, and today we have the honor and distinct privilege of being joined by former Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld. Donald, thank you for joining us today.
You bet.
This election is really big, and the youth are going to play a large role. As a graduate at Princeton University, what advice would you give to young people as they mobilize in this coming election?
Well, this election really is about the younger generations. The steps that are currently being taken by our government are so irresponsible by my standard that the effect of it, the damage that's being done, is going to really affect the younger generation rather than my generation. I was 80 years old last month, and I've seen an awful lot of our country's history. Indeed, I've lived a third of our country's history, and I've never seen a period where we have spent so much, incurred so much debt, added so much each year in additional deficits. I think it was within the last period of days that we've hit $16 trillion in debt. What that sends as a signal in the world is that America's weak, that we're not going to be playing the kind of important role that our country's played throughout my adult life. And I think that's something that the young people of this country need to think about, register in their heads, and then be engaged, recognize that we all have a responsibility to help guide and direct the course of this country.
Right. Who do you think which candidate is doing a better job at mobilizing young people today?
I think it's probably too soon to tell. There's no question but that the president had a very substantial support in the younger generations when he ran 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. My impression is that that's eroded substantially, and that there is the kind of concern that's understandable given the fact that so many people coming out of school today are having difficulty finding jobs.
Right. Having served as Secretary of Defense after 9/11 and during the Iraq War, how do you feel, or what do you think about the recent rise in interest in libertarianism, specifically the anti-interventionalist portion among young people today?
Well, I can understand it.
Mm-hmm.
I would understand it more if we still had a conscript military, which we don't, mm-hmm. thanks to President Nixon and Milton Friedman and so many others in the 1960s and 70s. We have an all-volunteer system. So everyone who's serving in the military today is there because they want to be there, because they raised their hand and said, "Send me." I think that while there's a lot of appeal in the libertarian movement in the country, and as I say, a number of the things I find that I agree with, the non-interventionist aspect of it, the idea that we can sit here with two big oceans like we were able to do in the 1700s and the 1800s, I think is not realistic. I think that the United States throughout my adult lifetime has been a part of the rib cage in the world, a presence, a deterrent. Mm-hmm. And as a result, we've been able to contribute to a more stable and a more peaceful world. Not a perfectly peaceful world, mm-hmm. not a perfectly stable world. But by our presence as a nation and our strength, I think that the world has been a safer place than it otherwise would have been. I have no doubt that if people of that persuasion who are non-interventionists, if you will, to use your phrase, mm-hmm. if they prevail, I think the world will be a less safe place. And so I think we need a balance. We don't need intervention, but we need a presence. We need a capability that the rest of the world looks at. Weakness is provocative. To the extent there's a weakness, people in the world will try to take advantage of it. And to the extent we pull back and behave in a way that, from an economic standpoint, that shows that we don't have the strength that we once had, I think that it would be a less stable and a less peaceful world to our detriment.
Okay. Given that President Obama, under his administration, Osama bin Laden was killed, what role, if any, do you think that should play in the upcoming election?
Oh, I think that it was a good thing that Osama bin Laden was killed, and the reason they were able to kill him was because of the investment that was made during the Bush administration in intelligence capability, in human intelligence, we doubled the size of the special operations forces, included the Marines, increased their authorities, improved their equipment, and they are, without question, the finest warriors on the face of the earth today. But they weren't that way in 2001 or 2 or 3. It took years to develop that capability. I think the president made the right decision to go after him and kill him. And I know for a fact it could not have been done absent the kinds of investments that were made over the preceding decade.
Okay. President Obama is ready to accept the Democratic nomination, obviously, tomorrow. And given the dire economic numbers, specifically focused on young graduates, what would you encourage young people to pay attention to when they listen to his speech?
Well, I suppose young people, but also everybody, needs to take the measure of our leaders and know that it's our job to make judgments about them and to look at the record and see what they've done. And what we know for a fact is that this administration has incurred more debt and had bigger deficits than presidents preceding them. And that is a sign of a lack of responsibility, a lack of discipline, and the penalty that will be paid will be the penalty that this coming generation will have to live with. And I think what I would do is with respect to both political parties, look at the individuals and ask yourself, the path we're on, do you like it? Is it a good one for our country? I think it's not. I think it's harmful.
All right. Thank you very much, Secretary Rumsfeld.
Thank you.
Thank you.